National Transplant Center successfully carried out transplantation of liver in the country for the first time. The incident was perceived as a phenomenal achievement in the country's medical sector. The center, however, has failed to deliver in terms of liver and heart transplantation so far, despite having an advanced equipment, to which the concerned ministry has remained indifferent. Good morning, I'm Amit Mackerel, and these are the top stories this hour. Development projects yet to be categorized despite 2.5 years since implementation of federalism. Lack of coordination leads to duplication and dispute between three levels of government. Said Dharmabhakta National Transplant Center fails to carry out liver and heart transplantation despite having advanced equipment. Concerned authority remained indifferent. Nearly 500 men and boys rescued from an Islamic school and rehab facility in Nigeria. Police term it as a place of human slavery, with many found in chains. And Leicester climbed to the third position of the English Premier League with a thumping 5-0 win over Newcastle. Devotees have started thronging various Durga Bhavani temples across the country with the onset of Dasai festival. Deity Brahmacharini, one of the representation of Goddess Durga, is worshipped on the second day of Navaratri today. Devotees worship 9 different forms of Durga Bhavani up to the day of Navami following Karasthapana. The Bali saplings Sarjamara sowed on the day of Karasthapana are offered to Goddess Durga on the day of Vijaya Dasami, the 10th day of Dasai, and received with tika from elders in the form of blessings. The projects to be carried out by local, provincial and central governments are yet to be categorized and respectively allocated, although it's already been 2.5 years since the implementation of federalism. As a result, the project's implementation has been in limbo, but it has also led to the problem of duplication. The projects worth as low as 50,000 rupees to be carried out by local governments are included in the budget of the central government. Although large-scale projects are to be looked after by the central government and the moderate and smaller ones by the local governments, as per the Constitution, they have not been clearly categorized in terms of their implementation.
नयाँ आयोजना प्रस्ताव गर्दा जहिले पनि संघले संघीय अधिकार अन्तर्गत खास गरी संविधानको अनुसूचीमा भएको व्यवस्थामा जे अधिकारहरू छन् पूर्वाधार विकास ठुला आयोजना लगायतमै ध्यान दिनुपर्ने हुन्छ। मध्यम स्तरीय आयोजना र समन्वयको काम गर्ने काम प्रदेशले भएको हुनाले त्यो भन्दा तल हात नहाल्ने र स्थानीय तहको कामको अधिकार चाहिँ स्थानीय तहलाई नै दिने र उनीहरूले साना आयोजना सञ्चालन गर्न सके भने दोहोरोपना हुँदैन।
Commission, which is responsible in this regard, has however remained indifferent to sort out the issue. Besides leading to problems in implementation, this has also led to increased dispute between the three levels of government and has added a necessary burden to the state coffers. The Sayyid Dharmabhakta National Transplant Center has successfully carried out transplantation of liver 2 years ago, which was considered as a breakthrough in Nepal's health sector. However, despite being one of the prominent and well-equipped institutions for kidney transplant in the country, the center has, however, lagged behind in liver and heart transplantation. It has been 7 years since the Sayyid Dharmabhakta National Transplant Center was established in the country. The center has so far carried out kidney transplantation on 668 patients. The number indicates that the center has remained prominent in terms of kidney transplantation. The center has nonetheless remained ineffective in liver and heart transplantation, although it had imported and advanced equipment for the purpose at a cost of 100 million rupees 2 years ago. The center has so far carried out liver transplantation of only 4 patients, while only 16 patients have undergone heart transplantation at the center. Although the center has been returning patients empty-handed, citing inadequate doctors, the concerned ministry has remained unaware about the entire issue. And time now for a short break. For more news, do stay with us. Welcome back after the break. Traders have imposed exorbitant prices on meat and meat products across the country with the onset of Dasai festival. Taking advantage of the festival season when the demand of meat significantly rises, the traders have resorted to high-handedness, especially due to negligence of the government in regulating the market. What is even more surprising is that the price of mutton is as much as 400 rupees more expensive per kilogram in Kathmandu compared to Chitwan and Butwal, among other places. The traders have increased the price of mutton by up to 200 rupees per kilogram in the past 2 months. Chitwan is about 100 kilometers away from the capital, but the price of mutton there is 400 rupees cheaper per kilogram than that of Kathmandu, which has been considered as highly ironical and unjustifiable. In addition to that, the import of goats from India that had been stalled for the past 6 months has now resumed. Along with local goats, there are also enough supplies of sheep and mountain goats for consumption during Dasai this time around. Thus, there appears no justification to increase the price of mutton. The government has also remained indifferent towards proper monitoring and penalizing the traders involved in black marketing to the plight of the consumers. It's time now for the international update. Nearly 500 men and boys were rescued from a building in Kaduna, which was being used as an Islamic school and correctional facility. A survivor of the Nigerian torture house raided by police has described being there as living in hellfire. The police said it was a place of human slavery with many dead detainees found in chains. Some of the victims had been tortured and sexually abused, the authorities said. Many families in the Muslim part of the country can't afford to send their children to school, and those that can often enroll them in poorly regulated institutions like this one. A sign on the front of the building describes it as the Ahmad bin Hanbal Center for Islamic Teachings. It was also used by some as a place to reform young men with behavioral problems. Kaduna State Police spokesperson Yakubu Sabu said the dehumanized treatment they discovered made it impossible to consider it as an Islamic school. It was not registered as either a school or a correctional facility, although it did charge fees to parents. 7 people, including some staff, have been arrested. The government says it will investigate other institutions which purport to provide Quranic studies. There have been numerous reports of abuse at Quranic schools across northern Nigeria, with students sometimes forced to spend their days begging on the street. Children as young as 5 were among those rescued from the institution, which is believed to have been operating for several years. Most of the inmates were from northern Nigeria, but 2 are reportedly from Burkina Faso. And time now for another short break. For more news, stay with us. Whereas the environment experts and public representatives of Rupandehi district, how can we control the environment pollution? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
संघीय सरकार मार्फत केही वातावरण संरक्षण सम्बन्धी केही कडा किसिमका नियम कानुनहरू बनाउने
स्थानीय निकायले चाहिँ बजेट छुट्याएर एकदम चाहिँ जनतालाई चाहिँ चेतनामूलक कार्यक्रमहरू गरेर वृक्षारोपण गर्नुपर्छ
बिरुवाहरू जोगाउने रुख बिरुवाहरू रोप्ने र वातावरणलाई हरियाली राख्ने
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is, what's your take on the unreasonable increase in the price of meat with the onset of Dasai festival? And options are A, increased demand, B, traders' high-handedness, and C, no government monitoring. The voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now the sports update.
Sports news.
Leicester City thumped Newcastle United 5-0 in the English Premier League match played late last night. In the match played in front of their home fans at King Power Stadium, Leicester led the first half by a solitary goal scored by Ricardo Pereira. Newcastle were reduced to 10 men in the 43rd minute as Jack Hedden was shown a red card following a rough tackle. The home team made full use of the numerical advantage, slamming 4 more goals. The goal carnage saw a brace by Jamie Vardy, who scored in the 54th and 64th minute. Vardy's double strike in 10 minutes was punctuated with an own goal by Newcastle. Johnny Evans completed the 5-0 drubbing in the injury time. With the win, Leicester climbed to the 3rd position in the EPL league standings. India has lifted the SAF Under-18 Championship title for the first time, defeating Bangladesh 2-1 in the final. In the final played at the Armed Police Force ground in Halchok yesterday, India took an early 1-0 lead after Vikram Pratap Singh scored in the 2nd minute of the match. In the 32nd minute, a player each from both the teams got into a fight and were given red cards, and both the teams were down to 10 men. Yassin came up with an equalizer for Bangladesh in the 38th minute to level the match at 1-1. However, Yassin was shown the red card after receiving his second yellow card for taking off his jersey on the field while celebrating his goal. Ravi Bahadur Rana scored the deciding goal of the match in injury time, and India won the South Under-18 Championship title for the first time with a 2-1 victory over Bangladesh. The titles of the first two editions of the championship were won by Nepal. However, Nepal crashed out of the tournament at the group stage this time around. Meanwhile, Maldives defeated Bhutan 1-0 to claim the third position. India's midfielder Nitei Nitoingwa was declared the player of the tournament. It's time now for our special segment of the beat.
If we travel to Chosar of Mustang district, we will be surprised to see people living in caves. Almost half of the area's population still lives in caves, where they also stock food grains and essential supplies. Despite having well-equipped houses, the residents have not left the caves to save their traditions. While there are many man-made caves in Mustang district, Chosar is the only place where people still live inside the caves. But it is not just for the residents. Tourists can also experience living inside cave rooms as homestays. The caves are warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Tourists therefore often opt to stay in cave rooms that cost up to 5,000 rupees for a night. For almost 70% of farmers of Taplejung district of eastern Nepal, cardamom farming is the primary source of income. The district's produce contributes to almost 50% of the cardamom found in Nepali market. However, with constantly decreasing prices, farmers are worried of the income during the Dasai festival. Until 2 years ago, farmers used to earn between 80,000 rupees to 120,000 rupees by selling 40 kilograms of cardamom. With more farmers growing cardamom, the price has almost halved. Now, 40 kilograms of cardamom fetches around 26,000 rupees. The farmers say that buyers are becoming reluctant to pay the current prices as well. This is Pratik Rimal for Kantipur News Desk.
And before we wrap up, a reminder of the top stories. Development projects yet to be categorized despite 2.5 years since the implementation of federalism. Lack of coordination leads to duplication and dispute between 3 levels of government. Saeed Thermopakta National Transplant Center fails to carry out liver and heart transplantation despite having advanced equipment. Concerned authorities remain indifferent. Nearly 500 men and boys rescued from an Islamic school and rehab facility in Nigeria. Police term it as a place of human slavery, with many found in chains. And Leicester climbed to the 3rd position of English Premier League with a thumping 5-0 win over Newcastle. And that's all for this hour. Keep watching Kantipur Television SD for more news and entertainment. Have a good day.